All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. It's been a wild 24 hours so far with the Bank of Japan. The chip stocks keep getting news and swinging back and forth, but now finally tomorrow we have the main event with Jerome Powell and the summary of economic projections. So, Chad, we got a lot to talk about. I have the breakdown for you. I'm going to go over how to get the summary of economic projections. We'll go over the dot plot. I'm going to tell you what the status quo is for now, what I am thinking, and show you how easy it is for something to change tomorrow because of how the dots are set up. So, Chad, we got a lot to talk about. I even got a bunch of plays for you, but let me give you the reminder right here, right now. We are going to be live for Powell, youtube.com/the stock market, 2 p.m. Eastern time. That is when the summary of economic projections is released. So tomorrow, we will be getting a lot of news and analysis and action right away. So be there, but it's all going to be live. So let's see you there. Drop your thumbs up on the video, but run it, baby.
Working to the couch, it's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but the sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
But right off the bat, like I said, tomorrow is arguably the biggest day of the year, and I can't stress it enough. All of the action is going to start at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be different than some of the other Fed meetings where we wait for Powell, and that's where the big move happens. But right at 2 p.m., you will be getting the summary of economic projections. That's where the dot plot is, and right when that comes out, the market will start moving, and that's going to lay the groundwork. If anything, Powell will probably take a back seat. Now, why I'm saying this is arguably the biggest day of the year so far, think about 2024. We've had non-farms, we've had CPI, you've even had Powell. At all of these data sets or events, none of them gave us any future guidance. It told us about things and it followed the previous path, but the thing about the summary of economic projections, it includes what the Fed is thinking for the end of the year as well as even next year, and that is some form of forward guidance, and this is what gets the market jumping and pretty much what you could follow for the next couple of months, because that's exactly what happened pretty much, I think, over the last two SEPs. Fed would lay it out, and that is really where all of their messaging stuck to. Set the dot plot, message around there, and stick with it. So we get a brand new one tomorrow. It's going to guide us all the way into June. This is going to be a very big deal. Now, here's where things get a little bit tricky, because although it is going to be a big deal, there are a lot of expectations there. If it doesn't change much, think about what I'm telling you here. All of these data points of the year, even the last Powell, if we haven't been getting forward guidance communicated, it's not moving the market. It's not changing the story. So tomorrow, there is a high possibility that the dot plot does not change. I even think that the dot plot is going to hold right around 3, maybe a little lower. We'll see where the math comes in, because, again, they are going to be splitting it up. I'll show you how the dots play out, but what we are looking for tomorrow is 3 rate cuts. That is the status quo. That is what the Fed did last time, and believe it or not, right now, this is what I was saying all day, the Fed futures in the market, they are pricing in 2.7 rate cuts. The market is actually pricing in less rate cuts than the Fed. So tomorrow, if we see 3 on there, that could actually give a bullish reaction. Otherwise, if you see that the Fed is saying, well, I think we're actually expecting 2 rate cuts instead of 3, that would be a hawkish shift. It would be bearish, but don't underestimate the market's ability to hang on. I think if we do get a really wild number, then we could start talking about bigger sell-offs and bigger changes. But a step down to 2, I definitely think it would shock people, but I don't think it will be the end of the world, because it still follows the narrative of Powell's going to cut at the end of the year and the economy is still doing somewhat decent. So that's everything in writing. But now, if you don't know how to get to the summary of economic projections, if you literally go to like the meetings and policy, this is the one from last year. Go down to projection materials. This will come out tomorrow, and this is how it's going to look. So the first thing, even though everybody talks about the dot plot, believe it or not, you could just go right here. The federal funds rate, that's their federal funds rate in September. That's the one at the bottom there at 5.1, and this is the updated one, but this is the terminal. So last time when it was 5.1 and came in at 4.6, this is what got everybody saying the Fed is pricing in 3 rate cuts. And then if you go down to the dot plot, this is where it looks like 2024. It's pretty much saying the dot plot, that terminal, it ended at 4.6. Now, this is what I was saying earlier. The market is expecting that the terminal, the dot plot, this number right here, that dot plot I just had below, is essentially going to stay the same. If the Fed is going to price in less rate cuts from 3 and go down to 2, this number will go up to around 4.75 or around 4.8. Anything higher than that will really start to change the numbers, and then vice versa. If the numbers of this goes lower, the market will actually receive that better, because then that means the Fed is pricing even more rate cuts. But now, like I'm telling you, that's the number above. It's the same number here, but here is the irony about the numbers that people are talking about. This is based off of a median, and if one of these top guys moves, or you get like 2 people out of any of these ranges switching, it can completely change the number, or really all it takes is about 2 people to change their vote for the rates to be a decent amount higher, aka the Fed pricing in less rate cuts. Now, that's why people got a little bit bearish coming into it, but for the most part, most people are expecting this number to be around the same, and that would be both a non-event and good at the same time. So keep all of that in mind. The best part is, right when that data comes out tomorrow, I would respond. Last time, I thought the Fed wasn't going to change the dot plot. I was wrong, but within 90 seconds, I just bought the opposite side, and it ended up being a very good day, and I really plan on doing that tomorrow, because if that number does move, you have this information now to kind of see how the market is going to interpret it, and if we do get a way bigger number, then things are really going to start getting volatile. And now that leads into the final key here. We did the pricing in for today. We looked at the options. We saw what the market maker was pricing in, and it is only 0.8% for tomorrow, and that is not that big. And this is what I'm saying about the numbers we get in terms of hikes on that dot plot. If the range is tight, if we really are talking only 2 or 3 rate cuts tomorrow, and that number stays the same, I think tomorrow's borderline going to be a dud. If we don't get anything new out of an event that could produce forward guidance, even though I'm super hyped up and I'm like, wow, this is going to be the biggest day of the year, I don't think we're going to get that much. And like the option chain is showing, the market maker is not expecting that much if status quo comes in. I believe we were pricing in the same amount for PPI, so watch out for that. But here's the deal. If the numbers we're talking tomorrow, we're talking 2 and 3, if it's completely different numbers. If we're talking 4 and 5, or we're talking 1, 0 and 1 maybe, and way, way lower numbers, and it's really a new set of information, then I think the market is underpricing it, and then we could see maybe double that, and maybe a close to 2% move tomorrow. But you really need that dot plot to shift, and like I said here earlier, I'm not expecting it to shift much. I believe in the status quo simply because I think Powell gets a lot out of not doing much. But last time I had this idea, Powell didn't do it, and he actually flipped the script, and every single person on the dot plot changed. Like I said, last time I was wrong about it because every single one of these dots shifted. Maybe that happens again. We've got a lot of inflation data, and that's really the final part about this right here. You have been watching all of this hot inflation data. Tomorrow, it's time to see what the Fed really thinks about it, and has that actually changed the rate hike or the rate cut trajectory. We'll find out tomorrow at 2 p.m., baby. But Chad, I hope you're ready for all of it. But now, let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, I got a couple of different plays. We made a few moves today. One of them is a play that I made today, but gold, man, 3 days in a row. Gold, man, my favorite for the Fed. I want to see if it's going to keep leading. Remember, gold started running a couple $100. I still took that short. I'm down like $100 or $200. I'm probably going to close out of that before the Fed, and it's very simple. The higher the amount of rate cuts on the dot plot, the better, the higher for gold. The lower the amount of rate cuts, the lower for gold. But just like every other time, as long as we are talking rate cuts, gold is going to be able to maintain somewhat of a premium because the market is just favorable. Potential problems, global volatility, debt, anything, you name it. And now the Fed even planning to cut, even just the simple admission of it, all of that has a reason to keep gold up. So it already had a little bit of cushion here. Watch out for it. Last time at the SEP, this one was the lagger. So maybe if equities move a lot and you're looking for a day trade, maybe gold, there may be a lagging element tomorrow. We'll see, but could get wild. It did last time. This one was a very good one. That is play number 1, which we've said 3 days in a row. Play number 2, this one I made a play on. I grabbed 500 shares today, I believe around 1874. They had news that they're going private today. There wasn't that much info on the price and whatnot, and this will be interesting because tomorrow is a Fed day. They're going to be in their own little world with this news, but it's kind of like the Macy's news where they were saying they were going to go private or somebody was trying to buy them out there. The problem with that, though, that Macy's one took a little bit to progress, so I like it. I just simply like this price in terms of a flip. It's lower. Last time I flipped out even of JWN, I was even positioned a little bit higher, so I said, hey, it was just there, went down on earnings, this type of news. We'll get some details. Could be a good driver and hopefully in its own little zip code while Powell is doing its thing. So watch out for that. That is play number 2. And then finally, play number 3. I took this one for the earnings. I only played the downside, but I am going to watch this tomorrow. Pinduoduo, it's another big name out of China. They are reporting here tomorrow, but I'm looking for a move in between Futu and JD. Some of those reported recently. Futu had a big drop. That was like 500, 600% or 400. On the option, the JDs, we hit that big there with the shares. These plays have been moving big. It's kind of been subtle. So Pinduoduo, this is literally Temu. If you guys remember from the Super Bowl and all of that, shop like a billionaire. But they've had a lot of interesting stuff going on, from like child labor concerns from the United States government all the way down to being like one of the outperformers in China while everything in China was doing bad. So there's a lot riding on this one. I would definitely keep my eyes out for that. But that is play number 3. As far as everything else, I sold my Adobe shares, my Adabe, from post-earnings. I lost like $130, and it came back up to break even, but that play was really bad out of earnings. I was glad to get out of that. I sold one of the MOs that we made about a week and a half ago now at this point. Bought these for 5 cents, and I sold them for 50. I have one more remaining, but they dropped after that, and then I grabbed the Pinduoduo, $95 put at $21. This one was the, This was the 2 standard deviations play, and I thought it was reasonably priced considering that the 2 standard deviations to the upside was like $130. But besides that, I'm still in bonds. I am probably going to close out everything ahead of it. I have even that MNQ. I don't know. MNQ I may want to hold, but I think because it's a smaller, little smaller, but the bond plays, the gold, and then anything else there. Like the Marvel, I might want to get out of that one. Remember, I made a swing on that, so we'll see. But definitely going to get out of some bond plays ahead of that because I do just want to bandwagon for whatever the move is, but there will be a little bit of juice behind getting in early if you want to go for that. But like I said, what we learned from last time, man, once you get the info from the dot plot, it's smooth sailing from there. So, Chad, I hope you're locked and loaded and ready, but that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember, baby, the mind will produce a lot. The root is where everything starts. Your problem isn't your problem. The problem is the root. Get to the bottom of it. Figure it out. You will see all of the changes happen. But, Chad, you got to stay in the game. Keep that long-term pumping. I love you all. Drink that water. Stay hydrated and healthy. I'll see you in the AM and horn.